What's up, everybody? This is Tech G back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly what a cloud architect is in case this is what you want to do with your professional career. So let's get into it. All right. So imagine this. You're the brains behind a company's digital skyline. You're building skyscrapers, but instead of steel and concrete, you're using virtual machines, load balancers, container clusters, and serverless functions. And you're not just an IT person, you're the architect of the cloud. That, in essence, is what a cloud architect does. So, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what a cloud architect does, how someone becomes one, the skills required, the tools they use, and why they're so important in today's world. All right, so let's talk about exactly what the cloud is. So let's get one thing straight first. When we talk about the cloud, we're not talking about literal fluffy white things in the sky. The cloud is really just a fancy way of referring to servers that you access over the internet. And these servers, they store data, run applications, and power everything from your Netflix binge to your company's entire IT infrastructure. And instead of running software on your personal device or local data center, you use remote services hosted by cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. Now, here's where things get interesting. The cloud isn't just about storing files. It's about building entire digital ecosystems. We're talking applications, databases, APIs, analytics, AI tools, all of that stuff working together. It's globally accessible and scalable on demand. And that's where the cloud architect comes in. So exactly what is a cloud architect? Well, a cloud architect is basically the mastermind who designs how all that cloud-based infrastructure should be set up, therefore creating high-level architecture. So think of blueprints for cloud environments that meet a company's business and technical needs. And they answer big questions like, how do we move our operations to the cloud? Which services should we use? How do we design it to scale securely and efficiently? And how do we keep costs under control? Now, they don't necessarily build every little piece themselves because that's more of a cloud engineer and developer type of thing, but they guide the overall strategy, design, and implementation. So think of them like architects of a city. They don't lay the bricks, but they know exactly how it should all come together. All right, next, let's talk about what a cloud architect does on a day-to-day basis. So the role of a cloud architect can vary depending upon the company's size and maturity with cloud computing. But in general, here's what their work might look like. So first thing, they're going to be out there designing cloud solutions. So they design cloud-based applications and infrastructure, often using reference architectures and best practices for things like high availability, disaster recovery, security, and performance. They also go out there and choose the right tools and services. Now, there are thousands of services across AWS, Azure, and GCP, and cloud architects, they pick the right mix of compute, storage, networking, and database services to build a tailored solution. They also create migration strategies. So many businesses are still moving from on-premise systems to the cloud, and cloud architects, they figure out the how, when, and what to migrate without breaking anything in the process. They do cost optimization. So cloud can get expensive quickly if you're not careful, and architects, they must design solutions that use resources efficiently and keep costs down without sacrificing performance. They also do security planning. So they also make sure security is baked in from the start with things like encryption, identity and access management, and compliance standards like HIPAA and GDPR. They also do some collaboration. So they work closely with DevOps teams, security teams, data engineers, software developers, and business stakeholders to turn cloud visions into reality. And they do a whole lot of documentation and presentations. Now, this might not sound sexy, but cloud architects create a lot of diagrams, documentation, and proposals to communicate their architecture to both technical and non-technical audiences. All right, so that brings us to our next question. What skills does a cloud architect need? So let's break it down into technical, soft, and business skills. So let's talk about the technical skills first. So they need to know networking. They need to be familiar with VPCs, subnets, routing tables, firewalls, and DNS. They need to know about compute and storage when it comes to virtual machines, containers, and block and object storage. They need to know about databases like SQL and NoSQL options, replication, and backups. They need to know about DevOps teams like CI/CD pipelines, infrastructure as code. They need to know about security like identity and access management, encryption, and secure APIs. They need to know about high availability and disaster recovery when it comes to redundancy, failover, and replication. They need to know about monitoring and logging, and they can use things like CloudWatch, Azure Monitor, and Stack Driver. And they need to know about cloud platforms, so they need to have a deep understanding of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. They also need to possess soft skills like communication because they have to explain complex ideas to both techies and non-techies. They need to have some problem-solving skills because they have to design creative solutions under constraints. They need to possess some leadership because they're going to be guiding teams and influencing stakeholders. And they need to be adaptable because cloud technology changes fast and they have to stay updated. And then there's business awareness. So they need to have an understanding of cost implications, vendor lock-ins, SLAs, and regulatory compliance. And all of that helps architects build solutions that are aligned with business goals. All right, so let's clarify exactly how a cloud architect fits into the bigger cloud job ecosystem. So we have cloud engineers out there, and cloud engineers, they implement and build cloud solutions, and they're more hands-on with code, virtual machines, and deployments. You got cloud developers. These are the people that build cloud native applications using programming languages and cloud services. You got DevOps engineers. They automate deployments and manage CI/CD pipelines. And then you got the cloud architect. And once again, these are the people that design and plan the big picture. So think about strategy, infrastructure, and best practices. And they essentially guide the rest of the team. Now, another common question is, do you need to know how to code? Well, here's the deal. Cloud architects do not have to be hardcore coders, but knowing how to script or write infrastructure as a code is a big plus. And tools like Terraform, AWS CloudFormation, Azure Bicep, and Ansible are essential for building repeatable, scalable infrastructure. Also, knowing basic Python, shell scripting, or PowerShell, all of that helps a lot with automation and cloud management. So no, you do not need to be a software engineer, but being code literate is becoming the norm. So now we need to talk about how exactly do you become a cloud architect? Well, no one becomes a cloud architect straight out of college. This is a role that usually comes after some solid IT experience. But here's a typical path. So you want to start in IT or software development. So you want to take on roles like a system administrator, network administrator, or a software developer. And all of those are great stepping stones. Do you want to go out there and learn about cloud platforms? So once again, you got AWS, Azure, and GCP. All of them offer free tiers and documentation. So you need to go out there and learn how to set up VMs, storage buckets, and networking. Then you also want to go out there and get a cloud certification because certifications are gold for aspiring cloud architects. So you have AWS Certified Solutions Architect, you got the associate and professional level, you got Microsoft Certified Azure Solutions Architect Expert, and you have Google Professional Cloud Architect. You also want to start building some projects. You want to go out there and set up some labs, migrate a website, or build a scalable app because you're going to learn by doing this stuff. You also want to understand the business. So read case studies and understand why businesses move to the cloud and what goes wrong and how they fix it. And then you want to go out there and get some real world experience. So you want to try to become a junior cloud engineer, then move up to a mid-level cloud engineer, then to a senior cloud engineer, and then eventually you'll make your way to a cloud architect. All right, next, let's talk about the money. So how much does a cloud architect make? So according to recent data, an entry-level cloud architect can make about $90,000 to $120,000 per year. Mid-level, you're looking at about $120,000 to $150,000. Senior or lead cloud architects, they pull in anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 plus. And then you have freelance and consultants who can pull in even more money than your seniors do. Now, understand that these salaries, they vary based upon your location, cloud platform specialty, what certifications you have, and the industry that you work in, like healthcare, finance, government, etc. All right, next, let's talk about some tools of the trade. So if you peeked inside the Cloud Architect's digital toolbox, you'll likely see the following. You're going to see some tools related to cloud platforms like AWS Management Console, Azure Portal, and Google Cloud Console. You're going to see some infrastructure as code tools like Terraform and CloudFormation. You're going to see some monitoring tools like Datadog, CloudWatch, Azure Monitor, and Prometheus. You're going to have some design tools like Lucidchart, Draw.io, and Visio. You're going to see some cost calculators like AWS pricing calculator or the Azure cost management. And you're going to see some security tools like AWS identity and access management, Azure Active Directory, and GCP IAM. Now let's talk about why cloud architects are in so much demand. Well, that's simple. The world runs on the cloud. From startups to Fortune 500s, businesses are either moving to the cloud, optimizing their existing cloud infrastructure, or building cloud native applications. And that means architecting these environments is critical. A poor architecture, this could lead to downtime, security breaches, sky high bills, and frustrated users. And a good cloud architect, they're like a digital insurance policy where they help companies scale safely, securely, and smartly. Now, here are some real world things a cloud architect might be asked to do. So you might have one that works for an e-commerce platform where they're going to be out there scaling for the holidays, where they're going to find themselves designing a highly available and auto-scaling infrastructure to handle Black Friday traffic without crashing or lagging. You might find them in healthcare dealing with applications and HIPAA compliance, and they're going to build a secure environment that encrypts patient data at rest and in transit while meeting strict regulatory requirements. You might find them in a global travel company where they're building a multi-region architecture that minimizes latency for users in North America, Europe, and Asia. And you might find them in an AI research lab where they're designing GPU-based cloud infrastructure that could run large machine learning models on demand, optimizing cost and performance. Now that we've gone through all of that, let's go ahead and wrap all this up. So let's be real. This role is not for everyone. It's complex, it's constantly evolving, and it requires a mix of technical expertise, people skills, and business savvy. But if you're someone who loves designing solutions from scratch, enjoys working across teams, you thrive in a fast-paced environment, and you want to play a critical role in shaping a company's future, then becoming a cloud architect might just be your dream job. And the best part, you don't need to have started in cloud to end up here. With enough curiosity, hands-on practice, and continuous learning, the sky or the cloud is the limit.